Okay, hope you can see the screen. So let me introduce myself. My name is Nikolai, and I am the project manager at MetaLump, as Roman said. So let's discuss the topic about decentralized and centralized solution in Web3. It's not going to be a typical report with a comparison of two ideologies and philosophies. It's about practical solutions and recommendations for some cases you can face if you are preparing to work on the dApp or looking for investments for your startup. So we hope this knowledge will be useful for you and it will help you make the right decision. The advent of blockchain technology was supposed to mark the start of the era of decentralization. With decentralized applications, they run on blockchain nodes and run sustainability and independently. But in reality, we have to be flexible and make decisions that, at first glance, contradict the ideas of decentralization. In favor of achieving business goals, user convenience, and so on. We are faced with the choice of making the application completely decentralized, completely centralized, or to look for compromises and think about a hybrid model. So who faces this choice problem? Early stage startups on their MVP development stage, IT businesses from Web 2 world wants to integrate blockchain and crypto, and offline businesses that include blockchain and crypto in its roadmaps. What is the difference between centralized and decentralized solution? In the mass consciousness, people perceive the concepts of centralization and decentralization in different ways. Let's focus on the point, the difference in application development. The main difference that we prefer to highlight are on the slide. The first one is about languages and stacks. In Cardano, smart contracts are written in Plutus, which is based on Haskell. In Ethereum, there is a choice between Solidity and Viper languages. In Solana, it's Rust. In Tezos, it's Michelson, although they claim Solidity support and even provide a transpiler, it's simply abandoned and doesn't work as it should. The second one is about where the code is executed. Any user can view the code and your smart contract knowing its address. He can learn it in different ways. For example, try to call various transactions, which is not possible in classic Web 2 applications. The third point is about how your app is running. In the first case, support will be in touch with you to help you figure it out in any problems. With blockchain, only the community will help to understand the source of difficulties and help you to overcome the problem. And the last one is about pricing. It's a pretty debatable topic. What are pros and what are cons here? In centralized solution, you will definitely be able to choose your own billing plan and predict the costs for this item. But if traffic of your service decreases, no one will give you a discount in the blockchain. You have the opportunity to pay only for direct use of your product by the request and no more. Looking at this table, it seems like that you need to think carefully before making a choice in favor of the solution or another. The dilemma seems rather difficult. But what if we say that this dilemma for your entire project is practically meaningless and you don't have to make such a fatal decisions? What if it was possible to get the maximum benefit from all technologies without serious losses and compromises? To get the answer, firstly, we need to clear up some biases and myths. On this slide, you can see which biases we are as a development team facing during the looking through projects requirements. when the potential client focuses on centralization. All these points, in fact, are not true or wrong, but they have important nuances that need to be understood in order to come a conscious work with blockchain technologies. The first one is that smart contracts are unchangeable. We have come across an opinion when the client believes that writing a smart contract and deploying it to the network means the end of the development. The product is ready on the blockchain, the codes can be changed, so further development is unnecessary. In addition, the products get trust from its user that it will not change and will work exactly as we promised in 2018. But what's wrong here? Smart contracts are changeable and upgradable because at least 5 years there is an upgradable technology that allows you to put in the contract code the ability to change almost any logic in the future. Of course, this is not hidden from users, and it will be visible on any scanner. This is a great functionality that allows you to make smart contract better, more optimized, and more convenient for users, because it leaves room for the development of your product and full-fledged competition on the market. Accordingly, the use of blockchain, even in such cases, allows you to be flexible. Very often in the minds of people, these two concepts pop up when they think about blockchain technology. It's anonymity and decentralization. When startups decide to build a decentralized application, they think that they are doing a favor for users, providing them anonymity and true decentralization. But let's see how things look now. It won't come as a surprise to many that the infrastructure is quite often not completely anonymous or uncensored. After the merge, Ethereum has become closer to total centralization than even before. Just 3 companies own more than 50% of Ethereum network validators. They are Leader Finance, Kraken, and Coinbase. More than 70% of network validators comply with US laws and do not pass transactions that OFAC believes are involved in money laundering and other financial crimes. Also, the business itself is not always interested in anonymity. By depriving yourself of user data completely, you're depriving yourself of analytics that can help you provide a better user experience. For example, Uniswap Uniswap analyzes and aggregates a large amount of data to offer users better exchange slippage, and also Uniswap collects data about your wallets from external sources. It helps them to analyze information to provide you best slippage and to provide compliance with legal regulations. Another example is 1inch. It's Uniswap's competitor. 1inch is pretty open about scaling and rolling more services. They analyze off-chain hundreds or of other protocols, liquidity pools, and more to give users the lowest price slippage and the best routing. That is, the use of servers, which means centralization in the largest DApps for data analysis, looks like not a sin. The backend is also used to create limit orders in 1inch. What they say in their documentation. In 1inch, smart contracts allows users to place limit orders and FRQ orders that later could be filled on chain. Both types of orders are data structure created off-chain and signed according to EIP 712. The next point is about free infrastructure. One of the advantages of blockchain is a large and ready-made infrastructure that does not require spending money to create, such as when raising your own servers. The blockchain already allows you to write and read data even from the laptop because applications are run on powerful nodes. Accordingly, there is an opinion that it's possible to launch even a complicated smart contract, pay a couple of dollars to deploy it to the network, and it will work on its own. Yes and no. Actually, simply deploying a smart contract without the need to access archived blockchain data really looks like this. But if you need access to the archived data on the blockchain, you need to deploy your own node or pay the services of node providers like Infura or GetBlock. For example, Infura for 1 million requests will cost about $200 per month. Write and read requests are counting too. Raising your own node on Ethereum network is like raising your server by ½ terabyte. The cost is about the same. In other networks, the situation is slightly different. The Polygon provides this access point to the network for free and gives access for archived data for the last 10 blocks. It's about 10 seconds because in Polygon blocks completing every second. But for more accurate analytics, you need data for a much longer period than just 10 seconds. Also, don't forget about additional tools that can be useful for your product. For example, to index blockchain data, you need to write and deploy a subgraph. For example, in the graph network, where you need to pay indexers in GRT tokens, you will pay for every 100,000 requests about $400 by current rates, by current market rates of GRT. So don't forget about oracles, which is also not free for business. One request to the chain link costs about 100th link, which is about 6 cents at today's exchange rate. All this infrastructure also needs supervision and maintenance by specialists, as well as your own infrastructure. Yeah, perhaps in lower costs with the classic infrastructure for Web 2, but this is also worth remembering and planning your resources. With open source code, the users will see their security of your project. If you verify your smart contract and prepare detailed documentation about how your product works, the experienced users will understand that the product is secure and effective. And then he will tell others about it. But it's just partly true. All mentioned above, of course, it's true. Community need to have a possibility to research how your product works. But you also need to keep in mind that you need the opinion of the respected resources on your product security. And it comes to the auditors. You provide them with your code and all the documentation. Then they study your materials. It can take a few weeks, make notes. Then you fix bugs, and if they are found, later you can get a report about your project safety from the auditor. Also, there is a good practice in blockchain to work with 2 or 3 audit agencies. That's why don't forget to include extra costs for audit when you will be planning your budget. The cost of the service starts from $5,000 and more. Without an audit for users, your project looks not secure and trustworthy. But at the same time, an audit doesn't guarantee 100% security for your smart contracts after review. Maybe all these facts look like using blockchain is a total headache and we dissuade you, but no, it's not. A surgical scalpel may hurt you, but if it's in the right hands of the master and it's used according to its purpose, it may save a life. So let's talk about how we can use the scalpel right and get the maximum impact for using it. Smart contracts, for example, in Polygon network, may become the part of functionality in system where increased fault tolerance is needed. There is serverless apps. They are offered by Amazon Web Services, Cloudflare, DigitalOcean, Windows Azure, and so on. The apps that perform a specific function, For example, making a calculation using a specific formula. In the case of centralized services, such a kind of apps are at risk of service denial despite their name. In the case of blockchain, there is 1,000 of nodes on which smart contract code is executed upon the request. So you can use your smart contract like a microservice for a concrete function of your product. Let's talk about some examples. I like this case. It's the cooperation of the Cardano blockchain and the National Wine Agency of Georgia and ScanTrust. ScanTrust, this is a service for combating counterfeit products. To confirm the authenticity of premium wines, they are developing a supply control system which records about the movement of wines and recorded in the blockchain. All these records cannot be compromised, and user can always be sure that they paid a lot of money for wine for a good reason. Another example is about auctions. To provide transparency of bids in any auction, you can make an on-chain auction where you need to transfer your funds in order to bid. It has some pros and cons, which are pretty obvious. They are transparency. That means that users can see another bids of another users and be sure that there are not some games with this. Simple implementation to develop this smart contract for auction is not a difficult task. And the advantage for the seller that he knows and he's sure that their bids, that the users' bids are secured by their funds. Yeah, there are also some disadvantages. Gas per transaction. Yeah, you need to pay gas for every bid. And then another one is in some implementations, you cannot withdraw your bid until the end of the auction. You can get only part of the money back. But you shouldn't worry about gas in some networks like Polygon, Cardano, ZK, or optimistic rollups. The cost of transaction there is below than 1 cent. Two services uses on-chain auctions. Of course, there are a lot, but I'll tell you about two. They are MakerDAO and NFT marketplace Zora. They have a collateral auctions systems that runs on chain. This type of auction are a great way to add transparency to bidding and build more trust among your users. The token is the basic part of blockchain system. It allows you to provide access to the value of certain things of the material world. In the case of an information system, this may be access to its resources. The system provides access to the system components depending on the number of ERC20 tokens on the balance that users has. It allows you to optimize your database systems and build incredible user experience. Quite often the holder, let's talk about another utilities of ERC20 tokens, for example, about marketing activities. Quite often, the holders of particular tokens can be added to the whitelists of partner projects to receive additional benefits. You also can raise activity on your own project using this instrument. For example, one Asian project we collaborated with is a Launchpad. This year, they took a snapshot of their token holders, and now they promise additional API for staking on their Launchpad in 2023. By attracting holders to increase the TVL of their product, they also allows stakers to gain a tier and take part in IDO, depending on the amount of staking tokens. Another one good example of utility token is BNB. It's really good example because having BNB provides you access to a variety of services in the Binance ecosystem. Payment of fees on CX and DX. access to IDO on Binance Launchpad, and much more. The number of ways to make your token useful for users is limited only by your imagination. Transfer of information. Blockchain stores information and allows information to be exchanged. The core part of any blockchain is a concept of an account, data exchanged between accounts. An account can be users, microservices, smart contracts, servers, etc. Blockchain allows you to build sustainable applications and build interaction between them. If you want to transfer information from one server to another in Web2 world, you need to set up the infrastructure, share ports, set data transfer protocols, etc. Blockchain has an important advantage. All protocols have already been established and accepted by all network participants. Blockchain provides the transfer of information and guarantees the immutability of data. Data which transaction includes cannot be compromised. In addition, reading data is absolutely free. The token allows you to give value to material things and makes it possible to establish the right of ownership. For example, the right to own a voice or part of information system. This solution isn't new in blockchain. It's pretty popular. DAO also allows you to build management and decision-making system based on public available data about a token built on the blockchain. Voting doesn't create a false sense of ownership of the project and increases interest in the ultimate success of your product, because everyone who voted for or against a particular decision is financially responsible for their actions. A huge plus is that anyone can make suggestions for improvement. Developers, marketing team, and ordinary users of this DAO. If you want to build trustful relations with your users, a DAO is a great option, at least for part of your infrastructure. So let's talk about migration, some of solutions from Web 2 on blockchain. All the examples that you just seen can be implemented in one form or another in existing apps. Perhaps if you had an idea for a product or it's currently under development, you already see the opportunities. For example, we're working on the project. It was Launchpad. Previously, buying tokens were through orders which were created on backend. And for the token distribution, it was conducted through airdrop. Later, they wanted to organize vesting by claiming tokens from their platform. So we developed a smart contract fabric for them. For each project, it deploys a separate smart contract with customizable parameters of vesting. So on the specific dates, users came to the claim tokens and it was according to the vesting schedule. Also, the project which sold these tokens took their funds that were received during IDO in parts by claiming them. They provided transparency for users, and for the owner of the IDO, everyone saw availability of funds on the smart contract in asset storage. As we see, part of functionality of the application has successfully migrated from the backend to a smart contract in the blockchain. I'd like to discuss with more details some of points there. For example, let's start from the beginning. As I said earlier, keeping users' funds on the project side and later project side was just on all funds was stored just on project wallets or Launchpad wallets, which looks like not so secure. Before migrating, owners of IDO distributed tokens by themselves through the airdrops using multi-senders. After migration, users are able to see the amount of tokens on the smart contract and claim it according the vesting schedule by themselves. The third point is about how the new system has different changed the experience of calculation of base allocation. The new system has different whitelists with different tiers and allows users claim tokens depending on their tier. Earlier, it was working on backend and user cannot see how calculations are working. Another feature which was developed for this project is a lottery. Earlier, it was working on backend and random numbers was just provided by backend. Right now, it's also the smart contract. And we get random numbers for the lottery from chain link randomness, who is obviously unaffiliated in this IDOs. So finally, there's conclusions. And maybe, as you mentioned, the dilemma between decentralization and centralization is actually ephemeral and not specific at the level of the entire project, but in details and in individual elements of the system. It's really important. That's why we recommend you relax, focus on hybrid forms, on your business tasks and your audience. Decentralization features can be used not only by crypto projects, but they can also be adopted by classic Web2 businesses, as well as offline businesses to include in their IT roadmaps. So thank you for your attention.